So when I was little, I was already having premonitions, right? I would dream, dream the future, this and that. So I started trying to figure it out. What is this that's happening? Back then, there was no YouTube, no internet to, oh, what's happening to me, right? So I had gone through already a lot of life and death experiences young. So one day, because I think I was more around the religion at first, I asked, and they said that demons can't hear your thoughts or something like that, right? Unless you say it. So I went in my room, turned off the light, you know, closed the door, locked it, everything. And I prayed one question, and I asked in my head a question to God, right? And I said, if you answer this for me, I'll never doubt you again, right? I was young, maybe 18 or something, right? 18, 19, who knows? And so the next day, or maybe I think I was like 20 years old. Then the next day I had started a new job, a city, maybe 40 minutes away. So I went to work, and there was this guy that I had talked to briefly, never really nothing deep, right? Because it was a fast-paced job, right? 14-hour days, just boom, 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 right? Car parts, so it was like nonstop. So this man comes up to me, and he looks at me and he says, "Hey, I don't want you to get weirded out, but I had a dream, and I think it was for you." And I get excited. I'm like, yeah, tell me. And he looks at me like, wait, why is this guy not freaked out? Like, here's this strange man coming up to me. And, he was a guy, he had been in prison, everything, all tattoos everywhere. And so he gives me the answer to the exact question that I has asked God in my head, in my room with the lights off. Didn't say it out loud. So after that, I never doubted. So my walk began pretty early, already understanding there's things that are unexplainable. How did this man? And later I saw why. He was more into like the religion, right? He would minister to kids on the weekends, right? He got out of in prison, he changed his life. So they brought the message through him, because at that time in my life, I was around more street stuff, right? I was kind of still trying to change my life, and I was around that. So that's why they brought a man that I felt comfortable with, right? Like, I thought at that point one day I might end up in prison. So it was like that's who they chose to bring me that message. So it was just crazy. After that, like, that was so unexplainable. How could I doubt the spiritual after that? In 2019 is when I had similar to what people that experience NDEs have, right? Uh, Very similar. A lot of the things I was shown, and from that moment till now, 2019 till now, even though my whole life I've had premonitions. Like, I'll say one briefly. When I was I was in a relationship with, with this woman and everything. And so with her, I was able to confirm a lot of the things I would have. Because even one day I remember I had a dream, and they showed me a first and last name. So that had never happened before. They showed me a first and last name. And I remember I had to go to the mechanic early. My car was messed up. And she calls me on the phone. And she could hear that I'm upset. And she's like, hey, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing. She keeps asking. And then, so she's like, oh, what's wrong? And then so I say, who's so-and-so? And I told her the first and last name. And she goes, she's like, he just messaged me. I hadn't talked to this guy in over a year. He just emailed me. I haven't responded. So that's when I was like, wow, this is real. Like, they gave it to me in a dream, that they gave me a first and last name of some guy that I guess this girl, I was dating, that I guess she used to talk to or something. And so at that point with her, I started having a lot of premonitions, but it was mostly only when she lied to me, right? If she lied to me about something, they would show me the truth, right? So it was like I was like a human lie detector. She couldn't lie to me. So I'm sure that made her very upset, right? So, but it made me and her very honest. I felt, right? Like, I felt like if they were showing me the truth about other people, I couldn't lie, because, that's how I felt. Like, if they're showing me the truth about other people, then I'm not allowed to lie either. So it was a interesting time, right? So just that quick story. But to talk about the NDE experience in 2019, my brother ended up taking his life, right? It was unexpected. No one expected him to do this. It took me to a dark place, right? Because I had these gifts, I felt angry, like, why didn't they warn me? But I had dreamed about it 9 months before it happened. It was the first time in my life I woke up with my whole face covered in tears. But in the dream, my brother was the only one there. So I thought half the world had died because I've had dreams of big things happening to the world. And sometimes they've been right. I've dreamt of like huge, like the tsunamis or stuff, and then I wake up and it happened. I see it on the news and I'm like, oh wow. So I've dreamed of things on other parts of the world. So I thought that's what happened in this dream. My brother was the only one there. So I thought he survived and I did too. And half the world had died, and that's why I was crying. Tears there. I woke up, my whole face covered in tears. So then, 9 months after that, he ended up taking his life. And I was really upset that they didn't warn me. Like, but then I realized that they had. So, anyways, after that, right after he passed away, I went to a dark place. And then at one point, he was in the military for 20 something years, right? So all his friends started contacting me on Facebook. All his military friends. Hey, I just heard about what happened. Like a month later, right? Hey, I just heard about what happened. Sorry, can you tell me what happened? Why did it happen? Um. So while I was on Facebook, I hear a voice tell me to message one of my friends, and I said no because they didn't say, "Oh, my condolences. Sorry for your loss." They didn't say anything. So I said no. I'm not gonna message them. And they told me if you don't message your friend, you're gonna regret it. So I say, fine. I tell them, hey, how's it going? And oh, they're like, oh, fine. But I knew something. They didn't even write it, but I knew something was wrong. So I tell them, oh, I'm gonna go visit you. They live like 2 miles away. I said, okay, I'm gonna go visit you. So when I got there, I could tell they were going through something. Whatever my brother was going through, like they were at that point, right? And so they look at me and they tell me, I think God or an angel sent you here, like that I went there to save their life. So I knew it was true, but then I was happy that I helped my friend, but I was angry. I looked at the sky, like God, like, so you sent me to help someone else, but you didn't send me to help my own brother. Now I know it's true. You really do send me to help people, but you didn't send me to. So I was like, oh, so in my head, I was like, I'm gonna take my own life, right? I was like, you know what? Screw you, spirit world and God and this and that. Maybe not. I didn't say that directly, but I was very upset, right? I was like, okay, I'm gonna take my life too then, because my brother, he had kids, a family, normal like people, job, all this stuff. So it was like, why?
What happened with your brother, if you can tell me? You said in 2019 he took his own life.
I mean, they just brushed it. Like PTSD is basically what it came down to. There were other things I can't talk about, but PTSD. He had been to 3 wars, right? He had served, he had been or deployed 3 times, right? But yeah, so you know, he never really talked about that stuff. Briefly, he told me sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about your OBE. You said you had a out of body experience. What year was that? When was that? How old you were and what happened?
Ooh, I mean, I started having them a lot. The first ones, maybe it was around 2007, 8. That's when I first really acknowledged it, because like that, I would see things that the relationship I was in, I would be there watching them do stuff, and then when they would call me and I was upset, or I would call them, I'll wake up. If I took a nap, I'll go there and then I would call them and they wouldn't answer the phone, and then later they'll call me like 2 days later. Oh, I'm sorry. And I would tell them, I know, I saw you. I know what you did. I saw you. I was there. And then everything that they would describe, I told them I saw it in this experience that I had. So
Okay, so did that happen in meditation or in your sleep, or how would that
I
happen?
just
You go out of your body and you see them.
I would just go to say, I never cared. It was automatic. I never tried to meditate. I never nothing. It was like all these things I just had since I was, I guess, little, really. It's almost like they wanted to show me when someone was lying to me. So I never asked for it. That was the important thing to know, that I never asked, oh, show me what this one's doing. Show me what that one's doing. Never.
So you have this gift of seeing through people and seeing the events which are not in front of you. You can see them if you concentrate towards that. If you think about it, you're there. This is what near-death experiences are talking about. They say when they are on the other side, they think about something and they're right over there. concentrate their, your vision towards something, and there find themselves at that location immediately. So this is what happening to you. Probably you have this very high, probably high vibrations or something, that you are close to the spiritual world. Okay, so you say the spirits communicate with you. How spirits communicate with you? Can you describe that?
Like they'll use anything. Like sometimes, like what people call angel numbers, right? You see numbers, and it's not the normal ones. It's like I'll be driving. Let's say a car in front of me will have, or it'll be like a car on the left comes, and it'll say like 361 on the license plate. Then a car on the left, right, and then on the right it says 361. Then in front of me there's a car and it moves, and that car has 361 as well. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I'll look it up. 36. What is the meaning of 361, right? So sometimes it's something over. Or like a couple years ago, I kept seeing 42, right? A fire truck with 42, an ambulance with 40, a construction truck with 42. And I was like, okay, fine, 42. And I found out 42 is a really deep number, right? Like they say the laws of Ma'at, which were probably older than the 10 commandments, but it's 42 laws of Ma'at. So I started studying that for a while. Like, okay, they wanted me to know about this. So I'll start studying it. Like if they really keep telling me something like that. So, you know, and then the animals as well. I already know what certain animals mean. So when I see them, I say, okay, this is what this animal is trying to tell me. So
Do you call them spirit guides or just spirits that are friendly with you? How do you see them somehow, or do you just feel them?
no, I mean I see them like animals, for example, I feel their vibration, but see the animals to me is the most pure way you could get a message because an animal doesn't have the human ego. It's not thinking, oh, am I gonna tell you like this in a nice way? Am I gonna tell you this? They're just giving you the message. Hey, boom, this is the message. You know what I mean? And it's like a vibration. I've had animals in my dreams shapeshift into a human and talk to me like this, you know? So that's when they'll talk to me like with words, right? Or even without shapeshifting, they'll start talking to me in dreams. But when I see them here, they always are correct. Like if they appear, uh, oh, for example, sometimes I've seen bats, right? And when the bat appears, it means that I'm gonna go through something sometimes. What they call shadow work. People familiar in spirit, they know it's shadow work. So even not too long ago, last year, a bat came, and sure enough, I went through a hard time because it wouldn't stop circling around me, and I had never seen a bat there in 20 years that I had been there, going to that place. I had never seen a bat, and here comes this bat, and it doesn't stop flying over me. I was like, no, but hey, I went through some tough times, but it warned me. It was just shadow work, right?
Okay, do you have the ability to see spirits or light around people or about around animals?
I've seen spirits, but I I don't and I don't want that, right? Like I think I've asked for, yeah, like unless I really need to, because even that, right? The day that my brother passed away, that's how I know they were looking out for me. I was on my first date with a medium. I didn't know she was a medium. Like I knew she was spiritual, but I didn't know she could see, hear everything, right? So she was with me. We had just sat down to eat at a restaurant. We met up, and I got the phone call. I hadn't even started eating yet, and I got the phone call. And she told me, she was like, I'll stay with you. And she took me to my brother's house where everything had happened. And right away, she was like an angel to me. Right away, she starts telling me everything my brother's saying. So, I feel bad. I've seen people that, had a loved one that passed away, took their life. And 20 years later, they're still grieving. They still haven't got over it. So imagine on the same day, I have someone telling me, hey, your brother's saying this, your brother's saying that. After she told me, you want to go anywhere? And we were close to the mountains. So she took me to the mountains. As we're driving through the mountains, I looked at her face and I saw she was disturbed. So I told her, you can see all the spirits here, huh? And she said, yes. So in the mountains, she could see the spirits, how they died. So I guess she was seeing them mangled up, everything. I saw the, like, the distress. So I was like, oh, sorry. I was like, you want to leave? let's take off. And she's like, okay. Because she could see all the spirits in the mountains. So I realized I don't want that. I don't want to wake up and you see someone the way they passed away, or, things like that. Like that sounds like it'd be a very disturbing gift to have. And some people are made for it. Whatever you're made for, they give you.
Yeah. But why did she see those spirits in the mountains? Because it was a war over there, a war site, or something really terrible happened one time and the spirits are still there. Because if you're gonna see spirits, you might see them more in the city because more crazy stuff happening in the big cities than in the nature.
Well, once I asked, there was a tow truck guy, and for some reason I talked to him in the mountains, and he told me every single week he pulled out a car, like someone that died. So I was like, wow. So that made sense. And that was, I think, after what happened with her. So I realized, wow, there's a lot of spirits in here. They just die tragically. They don't get it. It happens. Motorcycles, I've seen like the crosses and people put motorcycle helmets. So I know it was someone with a motorcycle and then their friends go and leave these things for them. So I think that's what she was seeing, just all the unexpected. I've even seen rock slides that there was I seen a grave right there, and I guess it was a rock slide, someone that died. So just so many things happen in the mountains. A lot of souls, I guess, in there.
Okay, so where do you think these souls go after they pass away? Do they go in some kind of void? Also, what do you think? The souls disappear forever in God, or the souls are able to come back from that light of God? They can come back here because you've seen some people that came back, like even your brother, but they maybe he was just stuck in between. He didn't leave forever yet, so this is why he was communicating with you.
Okay, so I've seen many things. One of the first things, like you asked, if we come back, I really believe that we do because one of my first things was I would be visited by who I thought was God, right? Before anything, right? When I was younger, and he would show me these things, and it was like this ancient spirit, so just the most ancient spirit you could imagine, right? And it was like if he was almost like not in human form, but to my, I guess so I wouldn't be scared, right? And he would show me all these things. So at that time I was trying to go around the church, but he showed me it almost looked like heaven. Everything was beautiful. But then we turned and everything was dying. Like so when I woke up, it's like they talk to you telepathically. So it was showing me that we don't get to destroy this earth and then just all go. And maybe that later on, 20 years later, I realized that maybe like how NDE people say, right, that we do return. So that's why we don't get to, because we do come back here. So all this thing that we're destroying, we do have a lot of, and I've already seen a lot of past lives. Before I didn't know, I used to have all these dreams, and now I realize they were all past lives. Some from thousands of years ago, right? I would have these dreams, and then now thanks to the computer, I'll look it up. Wait, I dreamed of this. Wow, this is a real place. No way. How, I've never been there. I've never heard of it. So it was from past lives, right? Ancient things. So what this great spirit was showing me, right? Or God, whoever it was, they would just show me different things, right? It looked like different planets that had died where we lived before. And then so we don't get to do that again to this planet, right? To just, or we are going to come back. So we could destroy it if we want, but then imagine who wants to, you come back reincarnated and you're living in a war zone or everything's dying, no trees, no this. Like, so I've always had that struggle with how do I teach people this? Like, this is what I was shown. So I feel like I'm supposed to give this message, right? Um, so I've always been frustrated with that. And that's why I stopped going to church because the church, they would teach about the rapture, right? Oh, they're going to come and take us. And I would literally hear preachers say, oh, when I see the world getting worse, I get happy because that means we're closer to Jesus coming back. And everyone would cheer in the church. And many preachers I heard say this over the years. So it would make me upset. Like, you're teaching everyone to make the world worse because that means then the Messiah is going to come and fix everything for us. Like, that's crazy. Like, so that's why I gravitated. The native way is you're more accountable, right? Like, you know everything in every way, right? But to go into the next thing you asked me about, like my brother. So that was the thing. The day that I had decided to, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take my life. I was visited by these higher beings, and they took me to where my brother was. So that was the thing. They showed me that me and him had agreed to this. This was part of our thing. Like, this is what many NDE people see, like a soul contract or something. It was a huge awakening for me. So it was written like that.
Okay, so you saw your brother after he passed away. How long after he passed away, and what you talked about? What messages did he tell you?
he was upset because he saw I was going into this dark place, right? And I guess it wasn't him that told me that we had agreed to it. It was like I even wrote a whole book about it because it took 4 years to them for them. I was able to show proof, like all the things that they showed me from there to this world. So it was first enough proof for me to understand, okay, me and my brother agreed to this. Wow, like this is crazy. Like, why would we agree to such a horrible thing? But it was meant as an awakening, right? Like I've had many throughout my life. Like once it was a car crash, I ended up hospitalized and this and that. And so this was a huge one to wake me up. I guess go back to the spiritual, right? Maybe I had strayed away from the spiritual and it pulled me back very quickly. And so one of the things he told me was that he was gonna help me, almost like he was gonna be one of my spirit guides now, right? So him along with these higher beings, they were helping me.
So you said that you saw some of your past lives. Can you describe that? How many past lives and how did you see that? I mean, who you were in your past lives?
First, I was shown a lot of, like, it was later confirmed. I never told anyone because I didn't want anyone to think something, right? But it was like I had already seen myself in some spiritual role, and it was like in Egypt, right, or something over there. Later, I had a lot that had to do with native past lives, right? So I saw I was in the civilization that was 600 years before the Incas, and the Incas are a very old civilization. They actually were the ones that attacked this civilization. They were called the warriors of the clouds. And when I had this vision, there was a hawk, like a red-tailed hawk, screeching at me, like waking me up. So when I woke up, that's when I went to look, like, because that one happened over a couple of days. I kept having this one of me running, and I had these kids. So maybe that's when the Incas were attacking us or some kind of warfare because I was running with these kids that I knew weren't mine, but in this vision, I had these two kids with me, and we're running up the mountain, and I didn't know where we were. So there were all these visions of that. One, I was in a ceremony, and I looked it up when I woke up, and it was a tribe in Virginia. One, I was in a ceremony, and it was a tribe, the Iroquois, out there, like in northern U.S. So I had a lot of very specific native. One, I was like in the pyramids in Mexico, right? In Teotihuacan. So I was there. I remember I saw this vision and I started crying because it was the most beautiful thing I ever seen. I saw what looked like my mom holding me up as a baby, and behind you could see the pyramids in Mexico. And it was just so beautiful because it was like before the conquista, before the Spanish came and killed everybody and destroyed. How beautiful it was. All the lies they say about all this. And it was just this bloodthirsty people that sacrificed this. So the vision I had was the most beautiful. And when I woke up, my heart, it had love, but it was like brokenhearted of how beautiful it was before, right? So all these very but now, I had joined a spiritual, and I let them say it, but even that, they say when I was in Egypt, I was this spiritual, like that people would come, and there were lines of people that would come to see me. Just lines, because I was this healer or this, like a high priest kind of person. And I had already dreamed that. And even a medium friend that helped me after my brother passed away, she was telling me, again, after, she was telling me everything he was saying. Um, she told me she saw me. She was like, "Oh, you were like a pharaoh or something." But I think it was more like a spiritual, like that, like some kind of high priest that. Maybe that's why I was born into this life already with these gifts, and they just had, when I had these traumas, they would open up again, and another trauma and more, and another trauma and more. So that's kind of how it's gone for me.
Okay, so why do you think you were given these abilities? And also, are you happy that you have these abilities?
I'm happy, but it's clearly I came to help, right? I came to help, but I'm heartbroken that um human beings don't get it, right? Like that, like the wars and this and that, and human beings just don't get it. So one thing I didn't tell you in the beginning, before the acting, I was doing music for like 20 years, right? I started doing first songwriting when I was like 15 years old. So that instantly opened me up. That was one of my first things. I would write songs that would come true, and then I was like, wait a second, like this, I wrote this. Like, how did this happen? 7 years later, after I wrote a song, it would come true, or sometimes faster, 2, 3 years later. So that was one of my first things. So I grew up around what you call gangster rap. I don't know, like Ice Cube, Tupac, these different.
Are you born in America or in Salvador?
No, I was born in Mexico, but they brought me when I was 4 months old.
Okay, so you've been here all your life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I grew up first. That's what I would listen to when I was little, the gangster rap. So I started with that, but then I started making positive songs like that to change the world. Like, hey, let's wake up, let's treat each other good, let's eat right, let's this, let's that. So that's why I felt like a lot of these gifts were for me to try to express them any way I could, through a song, through this, through that. I mean, even before the internet, I was already writing songs. So I just feel like they put me here to try to help.
So I understand that you have premonitions about things. You do have that. Now, what's your
Yeah.
premonitions for 2024?
I mean, I haven't really seen, like, for example, I've seen a war going on, but we can't see it. It's like I've seen these visions more than once, and it's like I've seen like flying saucers, right? And they're almost fighting with like our government, right? Like the jets are trying to shoot them down, and they're like blowing up the jets, but I don't feel any anger towards them. I almost feel like, hey, like that's what you get. Like that's what you get for, like, they didn't come in a harmful way. Like they're here, I guess, trying to help. You're attacking them, so yeah, they fight back, and boom. Of course, they always win, right? So I've seen all these visions. I don't know if you're familiar with a show called Stranger Things. Well, in that show, they have like, there's these kids, right, and they go into like what you could call the spirit world, but they call it the upside down. So it's almost like it's happening simultaneously in this world, but it's just a different dimension. That's why we can't see it. But it's like there's this ongoing war. So for 2024, I really don't. I mean, have I seen wars? Yes, but I've seen them more like in this other dimension. Are they going to translate to this world? I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe this will be the year when everyone just starts seeing, the because they're here. There's just a different dimension, right?
All right, let me ask you a couple of questions here. Are you afraid of death?
No, I'm not afraid of death at all. I'm afraid of the process, right? Because I have, I'm afraid probably of yeah, just that the pain, right? Because I have been in a lot of pains, like I've crashed and this and that, or accidents. When I was little, I almost drowned, and I remember that like my cousin jumped in and saved me. I was a little kid. So there's all these painful. I'm sure one, as soon as we die, boom, it's done. But yeah, the process. I just want. Hopefully, I don't go in too crazy away. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not afraid of death. Like not knowing, because I've already seen beyond that. So I'm not afraid of where we go or nothing like that.
Yeah, so you've seen the afterworld. So you've seen that is not, that is beautiful. This is what NDE say, at least, because I had interviewed about 20 already, and this is what they say. Actually, I posted yesterday a video, Trisha Barker. And so my first question in the video was that, are you afraid of death? And she was like, this is going to be crazy, but I actually looking forward to this. She said,
Yeah.
but yeah, she said the same thing. She said, I don't want to, and she's young. She's like 40 years old or something. She's not like 80 years
Mm.
old, and she's looking forward to do it, to go ASAP. She's young and beautiful woman, and got a lot of things going for her. It's not like she wants to get out of here as soon as possible. So that was a little bit shocking, but this is what she said, because she's been on the other side, and she's seen the heaven.
No, absolutely. Let me say this real quick. Like, since you mentioned that, like for example, after my brother passed away, the beings that took me to him, the first time they appeared was like us, I guess, so I wouldn't be scared. But then the next time they appeared to me, they were, these huge, tall beings, right? But when I saw them, I felt so much love that you can't describe on this earth, right? It was like your heart explodes with love. So after they appeared to me, I felt like that's who I really, before I came and I lived all these past lives, that's who I came from, right? And so even after for 2 months, I couldn't get rid of that feeling. I just wanted to go with them. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I had to shake it off and say, okay, I'm here. I still got things to do. But for 2 months, I felt that love. You can't describe it here on earth. It's just like your heart explodes with this incredible love. So that's what I feel a lot of NDE experience when they go to that side, right? Like that,
They do that. Yeah,
like
they feel that.
unconditional love. Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes because I read the comments and a lot of skeptical people in the comments, so there is questions like this. Okay, NDE is just it's just you go to the door, you feel the love of God, but you don't pass, you don't go to the door completely. As soon as you go to the door, that's it, you're done. You disappear into the
Mm,
light of God. That's what some
mm.
people say. What do you think about this? Or do we still maintain our individuality? You are still Omar. You are still you when you go into the light, or do you just become something else?
I feel like we're still us. I think the light is more just a temporary blinding almost, because if you think about it, right? Like if you're in the dark and you come to the light, it blinds you momentarily. But in the human sense, it kind of happens fast. So even in that aspect of being like one NDE person, because I mentioned to you, like I've interviewed people as well, like, and so one NDE person told me how when they went to the other side, there was a whole council, like, and they were reporting back what they had experienced here. So it was almost like life continued, right? Like for them. So they didn't just see we went back into the light. They were on the other side. They were reporting back. And so that's kind of what I've experienced when I've gone. And even when I saw my brother, right? He was just continuing his life on the other side. I saw him for a long time. I was asking him for help. I finally saw him where there. He was at peace. He had a life on the other side now. So I didn't want to bother him no more. It was like at that point, I was like, you know what? I got it from here. I'm okay now. Thank you for all these years of helping me. I'm okay now. Thank you. I don't want to bother you no more. But so even when I've seen, like, when this ancient spirit was showing me things, it kind of seemed like that. Like if I had access beyond the light, because we were seeing things like that. Or so let me tell you, like, even now when I see, because I've even dreamed the past, like people that I didn't know, strangers, and I seen the past, like something that happened to them 3 years before, and they said, "What? That happened to me word for word 3 years ago. How did you see that?" Or things like that. So I look at it like this: like a book. If you haven't read a book, does it change the beginning, the ending, or the beginning, the middle, or the end? No, it's just there. You haven't read it. So sometimes when I see, it's almost like this whole book already exists. So when I see the future or see the past, it's like if I go and look at the book real quick, okay, and then I come back and I'm able to see, like, oh, okay, I skipped ahead real quick and I saw what happened in the book. But the book is already there, which I don't like to share a lot, because I know people here, it's all about free will. But then, you know, because to me, I was almost showing like I didn't have free will. Like, oh, that's kind of what I was trying to show in the book that I wrote, like how there was this thing that shows me that it was already written for me in a way. So it's kind of scary, almost like if I didn't have free will in this life. But I don't want to say that for anybody else. I'm sure maybe other people do, but I didn't, kind of, from what I was shown.
Yeah, let me ask about the free will. A lot of NDEs, a lot of near-death experiencers, they go into the light and then they are stopped by a relative or by an angel or by Christ, I don't know. And they say, you got to come back. You're not ready. You still, and they're like, no, 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 I'm ready. I don't want to come back. No, you have to come back. So my question is this: if we have a free will, what is this free will here? Because it doesn't seem like a free will. They sent you back. They send these people back anyway against their free will.
It, just like a job, right? I think anything that translates to a bigger thing, we see it every day, like in a small way here, right? Like here, if you sign a contract, right? Like you were around the entertainment industry, you sign a contract, you're bound to it, and if you don't, they could sue you. So it's kind of like you agreed to it. So even by universal law, it's like you got to keep your word. You agreed to. You knew how hard it was gonna be before you came. You knew, hey, you were up for the challenge. You said I could go, I could fix the world. Once you came, all of a sudden it's like, whoa. But see, the thing, that's why I say, like, I feel we as humans could change everything in the blink of an eye. Think about it. All we got to do is decide there, no more war, and boom, that's it. No more guns, boom. So we have the ability to change it, but people have to realize that we have to work together. Like me, I was shown that they actually asked me if I want to leave. Right, I didn't even have to die. One day they came to visit me and they were like, "You want to go?" And I said yes. And it was funny when I said yes, they were like, "Oh," like they weren't expecting me to say yes. Like they thought I was gonna say no, I'll stick around. But I said no, yes, instantly. As soon as they asked me, "You want to go?" Yes. I'm tired of being here. But then at the last second, I changed my mind. I said, "Fine, I'll stick around." Like, okay, I'll stick around a little longer, but I'm tired of being here already, right? So I decided to stay. So for whatever reason, they allowed me to decide. They said you could go if you want, but I guess I'm still here, right?
Okay, so you said that you wanted to commit suicide too. What happened? What was the reason? And when was that?
Oh, just after my brother passed away, I just went to a dark place. You know, those human emotions, like um, yeah, they just got me. They got me good, and everything was just dark, right? And I was upset. It was like, well, I thought I could help people, so why did you not let me help my own brother? Like you guys are full of beep, like just that. I mean, I hadn't seen all that yet, right? They hadn't shown me that. If there's anything I want to really know is why we forget. So they haven't exactly shown me why it is we forget. Maybe it would confuse our mission, right? Maybe we do come with the mission, and if we remember too many things, we'll start wanting to go this way and that way and this way. That's it's like horses when they put all they could see is in front of them, right? So they just go straight. So us, when we come into this life, it's like, hey, they want us to focus on the mission. So if you're remembering all these past lives and all this and that, you might get distracted. So maybe that's why they give it to us sometimes little by little or an NDE, and then we remember, oh, that's why I came.
So we don't remember our past lives because that's going to be too much for us. We can handle this life, but if you start thinking about everything else, you're just going to go crazy.
Yeah, I believe so because right, even after my brother passed away, I was very like there was no veil for me for a while, right? And even I started seeing multiple realities. And the first time it happened to me, I was in the shower. And we come to this life through the womb and we're encased in water. So water is a portal. So I was in the shower, a lot of things have happened to me in water, right? Because it's like this conductor or however, right? Like a portal. So I was taking a shower. All of a sudden, I started seeing like 50 realities at the same time, all in my head. And I dropped to my face and I was praying, take it away, take it away, take it away. I didn't want it. And it lasted for over a minute and it was too much. So it's funny that people always want, oh, I want this, I want that. But yeah, it's too much sometimes. Like we're not meant to. That's why even things come to us in dreams. People think, oh, dreams are just dreams, but no, they're communicating to us in the dreams because if not, it's too much. Like people don't realize you're gonna think you're going crazy. Like, and other people, let alone like even yourself, you're gonna think you're crazy, and they're gonna put you in the mental institution, right? So it's a lot sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask a couple more questions here. What's your definition of freedom?
Freedom is like in this world, they really try to confuse us that we don't have freedom. So that the illusion that we don't have freedom, that's like the big illusion, right? We really do have freedom here on this planet to work collectively, right? So I think that's a huge thing about the free will, like that, like when they force things on everyone, we have a choice. That happened a lot during the pandemic, right? Things were being forced on people. You have to stay home, you have to do this. Imagine the government telling everybody this and that. I mean that. So yeah, freedom is the ability to understand that we really can't choose. We really, at least while we're here on Earth, we do choose. We choose what we're gonna do here. You can hit if someone treats you bad. You can hit them. You cannot. You can just say, okay, it's fine. You must be going through something, right? You have the freedom to analyze that and say, hey, so freedom is absolute freedom, right? Like that's how I see it. Like we really are free here on Earth to make these choices.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question, but let me ask you for the viewers. Did you ever feel like a stranger on this earth, like you don't belong here? It's like it's not your home. Something is wrong. Something, but you have to live here. You have to do the best you can.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was most of my youth, and then that's when I started. I felt like that was one of my gifts at first. I would find people in the weirdest places like that. I would be acting on a show, 300 people, and I'll find the one person. Next thing you know, we're talking the whole 8, 10 hours that I'm there about spiritual things. So later I started finding like my little tribe, right? And I connected with them thanks to now social media, all this stuff. But yeah, I felt alone. I even have friends that they remember, like, we would go when I was young, right? Still a teenager, going chasing women, trying to, drinking. And everybody will be at a party drinking, and I'll go outside over there by a tree and just be staring at the sky. As a teenager already, like something
Yeah,
didn't feel right. I felt out of place already. So
yeah. I
I've had it
remember.
since I was young. Yes.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I made a film about that. It's called Sweet Dreams. It was in Sundance Film
Oh wow.
Festival. It was in Sundance, but that was a long time ago, in 2001. So about a kid, actually, it was about me. When I was a kid, I was going outside and I was just looking at the stars all the time. It was just like feel like my
Mm,
home is over there. Yeah, I changed it.
absolutely.
It was Sweet Dreams. I changed it to home later because you feel like their home is there. It's not here.
And is it? Could I still see that? Is it
Sure,
up
I'll send.
somewhere? The
I'll
home.
send you. I'll send you a link. Yeah, I'll send you a link
Okay.
to it. I'm going to make a
Perfect.
note. I'll send you a link. Yeah. I have a prize over there. You can see the prize. I got it at the film festival in San Sebastian. And I'm sorry, I've been bragging about this. Well, we are proud of whatever we do. We're filmmakers. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
a lot of work
Absolutely.
to do something. So I think I asked you everything. I have one more
Okay.
question. That's it. Because we're already 1 hour. I'm going to make about 45 minutes show, 45 like that. I'm going to cut a couple of my stupid questions. But this is the way I find something interesting to ask. I blubber a little bit, and then something interesting comes up, and then the guest has a good answer, and I can use that. Like
Mm.
improvisation, like in a film, it's an improvisation. Let's say you get your lines, to talk about, but if the director is good, smart, he doesn't ask you to go exactly by the lines first. He wants you to get into the character. You're going to talk about something else, and then say, now we say the lines. And then when you're in the character, you go with the lines, right? And it's authentic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but if you just go by the lines, it's false. It's fake. So this
Mm.
is why I'm trying to make it a little every show, a little documentary. So I want people to be very relaxed and authentic. So my
Absolutely.
question is this: what do you think is your mission on Earth? Why you came back here?
I started having a repeating vision of this, and it was kind of like, and not to say that I was the one leading people, but just in the visions I always happen to be in the front, right? And it was all these, like, almost like that, like it was a new earth, right? Everything was green. There were even animals that didn't exist here, like another dimension, right? Like there was a wolf with antlers. But the crazy thing was, later I found that there are old stories of like these wolves with antlers, but it was like leading these, like, and it was a group of diverse people, everything, right? Like there was no, it didn't matter about all the ethnicities, everything, right? I was leading them to like the new earth, and there were even cities over there, but everything looked beautiful, like new cities, and the sun was shining like golden. Everything looked like amazing, just how beautiful it was. And I had a lot of visions about this, like some kind of new earth, like maybe helping, but maybe that, like raising the vibration of. But I think in order to do that, like I grew up around a tough, so I know the darkness, right? And whether you call it darkness or just rough areas, right? Like I know what that is, so I'm able to be like a bridge, right? I get that. Like those people aren't lost; they just grew up on different. If anything, some of those people have purer hearts than people that didn't really suffer all you know, these obstacles and things in life. They have. I mean, there's people with beautiful hearts and all. So I'm able to go through all these areas and find and somehow try to help raise this vibration. That's what I think my main um mission is here, right? To communicate, to bridge the gaps, to get along with people.
Yeah. What makes you happy in life?
From a human thing, I love being around happy people. So when I see people happy, that's one of my I love seeing people happy. I don't like when I could feel it. It's like you can't really lie to me, and I'll act like I didn't, like I'll act like I don't know, but I could feel when someone's jealous. I could feel when people have envy. I could feel when people are hateful. So I know when people are wearing a mask. I've told few people like I know you're lying to me, and they're like, oh yeah, like I could. It's almost like the vibration. They're giving out a vibration, even though they could be smiling at. I feel their like their throats, like inside, it's talking to me. It's painting a picture of what the truth is. So I like to see people really happy. Like there's no need for none of that stuff. We all have different lives. We chose probably what we're here. You know, the we wanted to experience this heartache. We wanted to experience this. So there's no need to be envious of anybody, hateful, scared. There's no need to be scared. Hopefully we could reach that point where you don't have to be, because now there's all these violence and people robbing and attacking people on the streets, all this crazy stuff. So hopefully we could get to a point where, where, or if not, I really feel this is one big thing. And again, I don't want to scare anyone or nothing, but I almost feel like that, right? Like the natural disasters, it's almost like a dog shaking off the fleas. Like my dog, last time she had like this, and she even made herself bleed, so I had to take her to the vet, and they gave her this strong stuff to kill the fleas. So the same with the earth. The earth is alive. So if we're the fleas just causing all this stuff, it feels our vibration. It's gonna shake us off. If it's a tsunami or earthquakes or this and that, it's gonna try to purify itself. So would you rather the earth do it and then we start over and whoever's here, we start this new earth? Or would you rather like, hey, let's change this vibration together so the earth doesn't shake us off, right? Because that's gonna be a scary thing, So
Okay, so I understand you wear a lot of hats. You have a podcast. You're an actor. You're a musician. You are almost a fortune teller. What's your main niche in this life? What do you do at this stage in your life? What do you do the best?
I think for me, like the thing, oddly, I was trying to do like the podcast and be, helping people, and I was hoping that would make money because I would give up the acting for that, but the acting seems to be my main source of income, right? So the acting is that, and it's beautiful because I meet, there's this crazy thing on the internet where all the actors and Illuminati and this and that, but they don't realize, like, I don't know, maybe people at the top are involved in things, but for the most part, like so many businesses, I mean, so many things went out of business during this strike because so many people, the people that give food to the set, the people that provide the clothing, the props, this, that, the drivers. So, it provides it. So that's my main source of income, to not make that too long. So that's my main source of income, the acting. So I'm very happy to be in that industry because I meet so many great people, right? And I get to, just interact with people, all cultures, all walks of life. A lot of people migrate here from all over, right? Be working, like the other day I was working with someone from Russia, someone from here, someone from, you know, uh, China, from anywhere. People come and they want to follow that dream, and you hear their story. So, but yeah, just that. My main mission is to just. I get a lot of messages from the spirit world, so to just not be afraid and say it, because that I had to overcome that, not feel, to not be afraid that people are gonna think I'm crazy. So thankfully now we live where there's enough of us crazy people that no one's gonna be like, oh, Omar's crazy. Like there's enough now. So just keep being brave and sharing what they tell me to share. That's it.
Okay, so if people want to find more about you, where they can, maybe you have a book or a podcast and website, if you'd like to mention that.
Absolutely. I have on YouTube, it's the In a Good Way podcast. I think just make sure to type podcast because if not, In a Good Way, other things pop up. But In a Good Way podcast, and then on there I have links, right? Like the link tree with all music and this and that. This is my book that I wrote, right? It's called 216 and the Secrets of the Universe, because on 216, that's when my brother passed away. So that was the day that marked, that opened me up. And make sure it's a second edition, because after I wrote things, like within 2 weeks after, they kept showing me more things and more things. Even in the audiobook, I made the audiobook that I narrated myself, and I even added like an extra 20 minutes at the end because it hasn't stopped still. I keep getting more things. I might have to make a third revision, right? Like a third edition, but 216 and the Secrets of the Universe, um, that's the book where I detail and show proof of how it's almost like, I know people don't want to almost like we're kind of in a matrix, right? But not like, I mean, that's basically like I'm showing proof of how this world was created, maybe as a school for us to learn, or for other things, right? But how it is basically created in a way.
Okay, my friend. Well, thank you very much for the interview. I appreciate it very much, and so nice to meet you.
Absolutely,
Oh,
absolutely. Thank you. And oh yeah, and Patrice was the one that told me about.
yeah,
He says,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
reach
yeah.
out."
Patrice
Yeah. So.
contacted me, and I was so impressed with his abilities. He's great. He had this session before the interview, and I did. It did affect me. I felt that the energy. I felt it over the
Mm,
internet. Yeah, but I feel that with a lot of NDE people. I feel that when I talk to them, I feel the
hmm.
energy. It's amazing. I probably like a couple
No,
people I didn't feel
absolutely.
it, but most of them are just wow. After that, I'm energized. A couple hours, I'm energized after talking with them. So it's interesting. These people are special. They in the year, the near-death experiences, and even out of body experiences too. They're completely changed. They're different people. Because they've seen the light. Let's
Absolutely.
say. Thank you for watching About Freedom Show. I really appreciate you. Click on one of the videos below and don't forget to subscribe.